Good morning, everyone. Thanks for coming out on a snowy Friday to join us here. Mayor McClement used to talk about how he had to deal with a blizzard within the first couple of weeks that he was in office. I get to deal with snow on the first day, so I think I'm going to preempt those future conversations. But I've been telling other people that snow's never been a thing that's really fazed me very much. My wife and I got married in a blizzard, so you just deal with it. And I'll have a few very brief comments to say about the weather in a moment. But first, I'd just, again, like to thank you for being here at this first briefing of the 62nd administration. One of the key priorities moving forward will be enhanced community engagement, and this is part of that. That was one of the pillars of the campaign. And today's briefing will be the first of what I expect to be many over the next 4 years as we try and be deliberate and transparent in all that we do, as we share the good works that are happening all across the city of Frederick. So today, what I really wanted to take time to do was to kind of announce my transition approach for the 62nd administration. And it is going to look and feel a little bit different than maybe some other transitions that you've perhaps observed at other levels of government. And that's largely the result of the fact that I'm coming into this job not completely from the outside. I've had 8 years of experience of working with so many people in the community and much of the staff that trying to do the kind of transition that was perhaps necessary if you're coming in completely from the outside, we really didn't believe was necessary in doing this. But we do have some clear intentions about what it is that we want to accomplish. I have put together a steering committee for this transition, and that's composed of 5 individuals. Alderman Kelly Russell, President Pro Tem, is going to serve as one of the co-chairs of the steering committee, along with Jim Ratcheff, who is a city resident and a local business owner. Elizabeth Cromwell, who is the President and CEO of the Chamber, is going to be on that steering committee, as is Ted Gregory, who is a local CPA. He's the chair of our Airport Commission, and he's a local business executive. And the last member of the steering committee will be Ted Luck, who is a city resident adjacent. He lives in Clover Hill, so I consider that to be close enough into the gravitational pull of the city of Frederick that accounts for my purposes, and he's been so involved and invested in this community for so long as both Frederick County Public Schools and higher education administrator that I think he brings a great perspective and talent to the process. In addition to those individuals who have a long history of volunteer service in the community, we've invited a number of other people to be involved in this process, and those invitations will continue to roll out as we begin to build these work groups over the course of the next couple of weeks to make sure that we can really address the kinds of things that we want to do through this process. As a 2-term alderman myself, I know that Alderman Russell's experience will make a contribution to the successful transition of the city of Frederick. I've shared an office with her for the last 8 years, and I'm pleased that she's agreed to be one of the key links between our transition efforts and the Board of Aldermen, because I think that's a critical component as well. The city administration is not just the mayor, it is the mayor and the Board of Aldermen, and for us to achieve the things that we know we want to achieve as a community, we have to work together and work as a team, and that's my intention. Jim brings extensive experience facilitating similar efforts to these kinds of processes. Most notably, he was the co-chair of County Executive Jan Gardner's transition team. And so that was a very different process, because that was, while someone not new to county government, they were going through an actual transition in the form of government. So I'm pleased that Jim was willing to be a part of this effort. The structure of the transition is going to look like this. We're building our priorities based on the things that we talked about during the campaign, with civic engagement and community activism, with economic development and raising our economic opportunity across the city, and the issue of sustainability as well. So to that end, we have forming a number of work groups that will look at various aspects of the city and its relationship with our community and our nonprofit partners, and the things that we're trying to accomplish as a city. That first area is the area of civic engagement, and the focus of that work group will be the public engagement process in the city of Frederick, volunteer efforts, ways in which we can mobilize more volunteers, how we can get disengaged residents back involved in the process of government. And they are primarily going to look at what we're doing in the city in terms of our neighborhood advisory councils, our various boards and commissions, which are the way in which the public can get involved in the things that happen in the city, and our election process, because I think we all feel that we can do a better job with how we address turnout and people's participation in the political process. The next work group is a work group focused on communications and 21st century technology. And that focus is going to be on our public information processes and our website and our geographic information systems and our IT processes and the way in which we use technology and other things to deal with the community. And so they'll be looking at our departments, including our technology and our AV and GIS and our public information, all of those things that speak to how we communicate as a city. The area of economic resilience was part of that economic opportunity focus. We'll be looking at the financial stability of the city and its responsibilities in budgeting and those areas. And so naturally the departments that would be rolled up into that for some evaluation is finance, purchasing, economic development, our airport and the things that go along with that, and our sustainability initiatives. Sustainability is an interesting issue here in the city of Frederick because it has to infuse itself into everything that we do in all departments at all levels. So it's hard to pull it out as a standalone idea to be explored, because I think to move forward and to really have it be successful in the city, we're going to have to find ways to have our sustainability initiatives work in every department in the city. Expanding opportunity is some of the external things that we can do in terms of our engagement with the community and how we can create opportunities for individuals to achieve their highest and best success in the city. That's a focus on arts and education and livability and the general health and wellness of the city of Frederick. And so our Frederick Community Action Agency, our Parks and Recreation Department, the Weinberg Center, special events, whatever the mayor's office can do in that regard, our police department and our PAL efforts and how they do their outreach, that will be the focus of that expanding opportunity work group. And then the last area will be our city operations and organizations, and really this is sort of the big umbrella of the city of Frederick, which is just a general focus on operations. The mayor's office, our human resources department, legal, public works, the police department at the leadership level, planning, engineering, parking, permitting, really the core functions of government that we have to deal with every day. My expectation, and I know that the senior management of the city feels the same way, that we've had a really, I think, strong relationship in working over the last 8 years. And so I'm very hopeful and optimistic that their full cooperation and support of this effort will help to make the work that these work groups do meaningful. We're trying to, as a part of this process, get to answering some really, I think, kind of simple questions relative to the city, which is what's the current work plan, our current focus across a variety of areas? Where are the challenges and opportunities that await us over the next 6 months to a year, longer perhaps, depending on the will of the work groups? And what are the obstacles or the challenges to meeting those opportunities? Is it organizationally our structure? Is it a budgetary issue? Is it a staffing issue? And I have intentionally not walked into this position with a whole laundry list of things that I want to be able to check off and say, these are the changes that I want to make, because I don't think that does any justice to, one, our residents. If I'm not going to listen to the community as I do this, then I'm not really living up to what I said I wanted to do when I campaigned. But I think it's important that we take a fresh look and we keep an open mind as we move forward, and that we not try and build a structure that matches me. I want a structure that matches the needs of the city of Frederick. And so we will be somewhat deliberate in our approaches moving forward, but I'm trying not to preconceive an outcome to this process in many areas. I want the work groups to feel comfortable, and I want the senior leadership of the city of Frederick to feel comfortable as well, that they can use these work groups as resources to share honestly their thoughts and observations about what's happening in the city of Frederick and where changes or alterations, or frankly keeping things the same, makes the most sense and will work for us. So I fully expect the cooperation of everyone throughout the organization as these work groups go to work. we've been handed a city. I said this yesterday. That's doing quite well. We're lucky, I think, in that regard, that this transition is not coming at a time of economic crisis or anything else that would cause us to have to immediately try and figure out what our game plan is going to be. So I'm extraordinarily grateful for that, and that's a testament to former Mayor McClement and the 60th and 61st administrations and everything that those individuals have done. During the last 6 months, I've talked a lot about the benefits we can gain from taking a really strategic, forward-looking approach to what we do in city government, and so it's my intention that the transition team efforts serve as an early jumping off point to a citywide strategic planning thought process. It is my intention as well that this be a two-way process, and so we'll have an announcement soon, I hope. We have to figure out what the structure of it's going to look like, but survey mechanism is something that we want to introduce into this process as well. We'll communicate our efforts through the city website, and when we have that survey mechanism ready and we're able to launch it, then we'll certainly announce that as well. It'll be online. We'll try and have paper copies available throughout the city as well for people to participate. It's really important, if we're going to hear from people, that we actually ask them to participate. So that's what we're going to do. And that's really the outline for the work groups, the transition process. So it's my intention that the collaboration that I talked about during the campaign is something that we can really put into practice at City Hall. And so just as a couple of additional notes, it's my intention over the next couple of weeks, it may take longer than that, it's hard to say. This is a big city with a lot of employees, is to get out and meet with the department heads and talk to them in more detail about some of these things. I don't want the things that I do in working with them to be too much of an overlap. I want to be respectful of the time and energy that all of our employees put into their jobs every day. I'm not a micromanager by nature, so it's not my intention to come in and try and fix things that don't need to be fixed. But I want to maintain an open line of communication with all of the city employees to make sure that their voices are heard, and I want that to be true with the citizens as well. I wanted to make a couple of other notes about two other things that weren't really part of the initial agenda, but as I had a chance to process what I could do with the time that I had here this morning, I did want to mention that one of the first things that I need to do, and I've already solicited this information from the incoming members of the Board of Aldermen, is the various board and commission assignments that they have. So that's a process that we're working towards. There's a number that need to be filled, both statutorily as far as our code is concerned, and I want to make sure that we can stay smooth in those operations and that we don't have gaps in those boards and commissions for too long of a period of time. But that's a time-consuming process, because what I've done is solicit the priorities from the members of the board so that they can tell me what they're interested in, and I have to match their priorities up with the long list of boards and commissions that we have and figure out how to navigate through any conflicts or turf battles that may be ahead if more than one alderman wants the same thing or has set the same thing as a priority. So we'll work through that, and I hope within the next couple of days we'll have something more final that we can talk about there. The other thing that I did want to just quickly mention, because it's clear that weather as we move into winter is going to be something that we have to deal with, and I don't have the full snow briefing in front of me at this point, but I did just want to make mention of the fact, because I got an email this morning from Public Works, that we do have crews that are poised and ready to do what they do. One of the nice things about a city that is well run is people aren't waiting for me as the new mayor to tell them what to do. They know what their jobs are already, and they're doing them. And so I've tried to make it clear to our Department of Public Works folks that if there's something specific they need from me in order to either something that I need to know or something that I need to do relative to snow operations, that they need to let me know what that is. But I have great confidence that they know what they're doing, and they don't need me to tell them how to de-ice the streets or plow under those circumstances. So they gave me just a couple of notes in an email this morning that it takes about 5 hours to put compound down on every street in the city of Frederick. So that gives you a little sense of the amount of of acreage we're trying to cover, and that's about 300 tons of salt when they do that. So that concludes my remarks with regards to the transition effort and the work groups. You're mouthing something to me, and yes. So if there's questions from the media, or frankly, I'll take questions from anybody, I suppose. I'm not that uptight about who wants to ask questions. So if you've got a question, please let me know. Yes, sir.
Peter Samuel. I guess I'm kind of newbie. My favorite issue. Congratulations first on your appointment. 8 years ago, forecast the opening of the Downtown Hotel at the beginning of his second term in 2014. So I have two questions about that. What's your approach to the hotel? Because it doesn't seem that the approach that the previous administration had worked very well. Second, you committed yourself to open government and transparency of government. Mayor McClement appointed a man who's now in jail in Baltimore on $50 million worth of fraud as the first chairman of the Hotel Advisory Committee, which was a very poor choice, I suggest. And he also set the pattern for all the hotel details of the hotel policy and the procurement being done behind closed doors in defiance, I would submit, of the Open Meetings Act. Do you have a new approach to that? Thank you.
Thank you. So there's a lot to that question, and I have begun the process of sitting down with the staff who've been working on that project over the last several years to begin to understand the operational details of how that process is continuing to move forward. I said yesterday in my remarks that that Downtown Hotel and Conference Center remains a priority for the city of Frederick, and it does. I think what I will try to be cautious about doing at any time over the next 4 years is committing to a timetable that I'm not sure that I can meet. I said yesterday that even the seemingly easy paths on projects rarely follow a straight line, and I don't think this Downtown Hotel and Conference Center project was a particularly easy one, so certainly that line is not going to be straight. We are going to be as open and transparent as we can with regards to how that process will unfold. We will comply with the Maryland Open Meetings Act and Public Information Acts in terms of how we handle all aspects of that project. I'm not prepared to stand up here today and give you the details of what I would or would not do differently on that project moving forward, because I haven't had the time to sit down and really evaluate it from that standpoint. But I can tell you that we will do everything that we can as a city to work with the partners that we have identified on that project, and with the private sector partner who is putting up the lion's share of the money to make that project a reality. And we're going to do it the right way and to the benefit of the taxpayers and the residents and the businesses of the city of Frederick. So I don't think that completely answers your question, but it's the best I can give you right now. There's still an evaluation process, and we're still working through the details on getting me up to speed on that and frankly dozens of other projects that have been in process over the last 48 years. One of the things that I've realized from the position of moving from the Board of Aldermen to the mayor's office is I certainly know about many of the things that are happening in the city, but what I don't know is the operational level of detail that really the chief executive is the one who has to have that information at their disposal. As a member of the Board of Aldermen, it was not necessary for me to have the level of knowledge that I'm going to have to possess on many of these projects moving forward. So that's a learning process for me, and we're going to try and get up to speed on all of those things as quickly as we possibly can. And as we can provide information to the community to keep them informed and updated on what's going on, we're certainly going to do that. We have no desire to hide anything that we don't have to hide. So we're going to be be as transparent as we can. And so I thank you for that. Are there any other questions? Sure, Dewey, go ahead.
Yeah, Dewey Stewart out of frederickland.org, local podcast. Regarding the, I can sound off. Oh, sorry. Okay. Regarding the communication part of what you talked about, how can Channel 99 assist with that? It's a city public access channel. I thought maybe you could speak a little bit to Channel 99 and how it could assist with communicating different initiatives and things that are going on in the city.
Well, I think it's critically important. I think we're lucky already to have a staff with Channel 99 that's I think eager to do as much as they can with that bandwidth that's available to them, and they've already done an outstanding job, I think, with some of the documentaries and other kinds of programs that they put together. Certainly, it's the vehicle in which we televise our meetings and our other public events. They're a critical component. The background that I came out of and the work that I did for, about a dozen years in local television, I would hope that Lance and Sally are kind of excited about having a mayor that's got a little bit of that background in there, because I do see the possibilities of what can be done. I think we're going to allow the work group that's looking at our communications, and Channel 99 will certainly be a part of that, to try and figure out what are our opportunities. What are our challenges? But I think it's a along with a website and social media and the way in which we can use those and the traditional media, Channel 99 is a great resource for the city of Frederick. We've got an opportunity with that venue to tell our stories, and I think we need to do that in a way that's effective and important for our city residents. So I look forward to what's possible, because I think we've got great possibilities. Thank you. I certainly appreciate everybody being here, and we will continue to be in touch. If you have any questions at all, and certainly there could be questions from staff, please don't hesitate to reach out to me, and we'll do what we can. Again, Jim and Kelly are going to be chairing this steering committee, and so as we've got more to tell, we will certainly do that. But thank you very much, and have a wonderful day. Oh, yes, gosh, if I could just, I did the one thing, I missed doing the one thing that I wanted to make sure I wouldn't forget doing, so thank you for that, Alderman Russell. I did want to acknowledge, it's very important that I acknowledge, I certainly referenced the need for collaboration, but I'm happy to have several members of the Board of Aldermen in the room today. In addition to Alderman Russell, we have Alderman Roger Wilson is here, and we have Alderman Ben McShane in the back. And please, if I ever forget to acknowledge you at an event, I want you to kick me, because I think it's important. And I apologize for making that mistake the first day out of the chute. So thank you for that. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.